On today's episode, we talk all things passive income. Is it right for you? Is it right for your clients? Or are you being a bit selfish? So, a trend that we've noticed over, I don't know, the last few months really, since we've been working with people.
It's creeping up, isn't it?
Yeah, on a one-to-one basis, is the desire to offer some kind of passive income. So because we're so thick in the delivery of doing the thing and it gets that overwhelm and burnt out and frustration and everything, the solution seems to be, let's create an online course and let's step back from it, let it run itself, bring loads of money in, hey ho, we've got freedom and we're not going to get burnt out anymore.
Sounds good, doesn't it?
Sounds amazing. Why aren't we all doing it?
I have mixed feelings about this, being completely honest. I love wholeheartedly and 100% believe in creating something like passive income and utilising the medium of online courses and memberships and all of that. I cannot disagree with it. I absolutely think it is the right thing to do. Here's the big but though. In order to really make something like that work, you need a very large audience.
How large are we talking?
Well, if you think about it, the average conversion rate is between 7 and 10%. So even if you use your email list as an example, and that's 200 people, that's only 20 people that are going to buy from you. Let's say those 20 people then spend even like 10 quid a month on a really low ticket membership bit. Keep the math nice and easy for my brain. Like 200 quid a month you get for, it depends how much work you're going to put into it. But this is where memberships specifically, they need to be a numbers game. The more you have, that's where it starts to work. I also think there may be some naivety around how much work needs to go in to building that audience and also the delivery of it in those first 6 to 12 months. You know, that old adage of undersell and over deliver. Because I think this is something that dog professionals, like everybody, does exceedingly well. It's just not necessarily the best thing to do. Oversell, promise everything. Do you know what I mean? Like that, and it comes from fear, doesn't it? It's like, oh, so I don't know, like we'll give you this training session and this and that, and we'll add this on and
this bank of online videos.
Like you get all this. Like have a vault, have this, have that. It's like, okay, you got nowhere else to go to add value because you've mentioned it all. If we do that with purely an online course or membership, what added value kind of goes into it if we're so used to doing the over delivery bit? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And let's talk about content as well. Let's talk about how the learner is going to learn the information. Okay. So we think this is a lot of people think in their heads, let's do a series of videos. So what are the common things that most people are struggling with their dog? We've got recall, reactivity, maybe there's a few techniques there. Mm-hmm. We've got loose lead walking, we've got leave, we've got sit, down, stand, like all the positions, all this basic stuff. So instead of having to keep talking about those things all the time, which I know it can seem, but again, it comes down to this thing of like, we know our craft inside out and we talk about it all the time. So it's the 50 millionth time we've said it, but it's the first time someone has probably heard it. And so we think, oh, that's a chore, isn't it? Having to keep going over that same information. And I feel like I'm repeating myself and all that kind of stuff. So instead, let's have this bank of videos. We can just go, this is this thing that I want you to learn. Here's that video. Or even like, I'm not even going to give you any back information. Here's that video, go and learn it yourself. Okay, so in theory, I know what people are thinking by doing that. Like you've got it forever, potentially. You've got a reference. You've got you can watch it back as many times as you like, get it perfect. Is that really going to work for everybody? It might work for some people, and some people do like self-paced stuff. They like using that kind of thing and they absorb learning in that way. But there are a load of people that are never going to probably access those videos.
No, and it's that thing again of if you are positioning that at a low ticket, so it's almost like, oh, I can make a sale. I think it's the mindset thing again, isn't it? It's like, well, if I do the work, then it's just there. And even if it's 10 quid, it's there making money for me not doing anything. But actually, you should still be doing something. You need to market it. You need to actively sell it. Otherwise, I mean, we've just recorded our business basics course and that's taken time. And planning and all of the stuff to go into it. But I think where we've done it better than we've thought previously when we were in the dog training business is we have done that time and planning, and we've tested the market, we've done the research, and we actually sold it before it was created.
Yep.
So you need to prove that concept.
And this is a scary ass thing for people to even do. But let's think about the pressure that creates. Well, you've got to do it now. You've sold a few.
Yeah.
So instead of taking all the time in the world, months, even years in some cases, where people have got this idea going round in their head, and you may well be listening to this going, yep, that's me. I've been thinking about this for so long. I've got the ideas for the videos. I just haven't done it because I haven't got the right backdrop. I don't have the right equipment. I don't have the time because I'm constantly delivering dog stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's something you want to do. But when you actually get round to it, if there's no one to buy it, is it all been in vain?
Yeah.
And that's what we don't want people to do, because if it's done in the right way and with a strategy like you've just said, it could absolutely be amazing. But without that longer term, bigger picture strategy, it could just fall flat on its face. And then how much money, how much time, how much effort, and how much are you going to resent that product when it's created if you don't get any sales off the back of it, and if it doesn't give you the life that you're hoping it will?
Yeah, it's really disheartening, isn't it, when you've put that much time and effort into something and then it just falls flat.
It flops. And I've done it this myself. Like, I think I've told this story before, but in COVID, where everybody reacted to not being able to work, I had access to, I was really fortunate in that I had access to a 3-acre field, which arguably I only used a tiny corner of it to film these videos. But I was like, right, I'll do an online version of my puppy academy course. So it meant I could exercise the dogs. I was actually legitimately able to go to the field for work purposes, and it was all like good. And I got to just spend amazing days in a field doing some dog training with my dogs, which was great. And so I spent days and days, which I did have because there was nothing else I could do at that time. So I didn't mind doing that. But I know that a lot of people would sacrifice work for creating a video, like an online course. So that wasn't so bad. And then I got it all together and edited it all and I put it out. Hey, tumbleweed. I had I'm trying to think of the total amount of sales that I made. 15 sales.
Okay. I was expecting less.
No, about 15 sales. And I could log into the platform that I used and see the progress people were making. And I got really annoyed that people weren't doing it. Like, they bought it, so it's no skin off my nose. And what was hang on, I'm trying to think of the price of it. So all in all, I think there was like 40 to 45 short videos.
40 to 45?
Because I'd literally recreated the whole course, the 6-week course, in the format of week 1, week 2, week 3, with all the videos. So it was about 40 odd. You're going to hate this. £40.
£40?
Yeah.
For a pound a video? My God.
£40.
Wow.
£40 and 15. Yeah, do the math.
I thought you was going to say £40 and 15 pence then. Like, what? It gets worse.
But the way I looked at it is, my time cost me nothing because I couldn't do anything anyway. I enjoyed doing it, actually. The field was already paid for because we were renting this field monthly, and it was going to just sit there unless I used it for something. And there you go. So I made all that money. But this is a perfect example of me just going, I've done this thing. Here you go, everyone. Buy it. And not many people bought it.
No.
And then when I was looking at the progress, like I was saying, I was like, oh my God, they've bought it and they're not doing it. What's the point of that? But did I have anywhere for them to be as a group? Did I have anywhere for them to work through it together? Was there any kind of support? No, in answer to all those questions. Was there any reason for somebody to keep up the training? Was there any kind of momentum? No. So actually, when I look back at it, I'm giving somebody all the tools, walking away and going, there you go and do it by yourself. And people are going to maybe do the first couple of videos and go, oh, this is good. We'll do this. Oh, no, life's got in the way. Oh, no, I've got this to do. Oh, no, I've got that to do. And it obviously got completely abandoned because there's no reason to continue. There's no pressure there. There's no, not that I would pressure anybody in real life, but yeah, that kind of, no reason to do it.
Do you know what? As you were talking there, I was thinking, and obviously we never know because we never know what somebody is exactly thinking. So I'm hazarding a guess here that when a good majority of people think or say, I'm going to do an online course, I want passive income, do you know what I mean? It's very arguably a bit self-centered. So how much thought, so if you use your course as an example then, like how much thought process was given to this is going to be valuable? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, did you design that course for your clients, or did you design that course because it was just something to do?
I directly substituted the format of the classes that I couldn't teach. I wasn't able to teach due to the restrictions. So I literally just took that format, pretended I was teaching a load of people, and just did all the sections, and the videos are the little sections of the class. So 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, 5 minutes, you know.
So why did you create that course though? Did you do it for the clients, or did you think this is the only way I'm going to make money during this time?
Both. I did it because there was an absence of being able to deliver, and I'd always delivered training, and it felt weird. And all these people that were getting puppies in lockdown, and, you know, that story, where are they going to go? Where are they going to get help from? So that was probably, I would say actually that was the main driving force, because I didn't end up getting the loan thing, the grant or whatever it was, and it screwed me over. But hey ho, that's the story for another day. I did get that. I did have support from my husband. So I didn't have to do it financially. And obviously it didn't give me much financially anyway. But I think, again, there was no pressure there for me to really do anything more with it than let it sit there and hope people buy it. But it was the only way I knew how to deliver that service, if that makes sense, because it was literally a virtual version of me doing it in real life. The problem with that was I've got a group of people in a room. I've got questions. I've got people bouncing off me. And when I'm talking to a video, when I'm talking to a nobody and I've got no feedback back, I'm just assuming in my head, well, they've got it. They can understand it first go. They're going to move on to video 2, 3, 4. That's something I didn't consider. I mean, they could rewatch it back. So I suppose in my head I'm thinking, well, they don't get it the first time, rewatch the video, rewatch it again. But is there anybody there showing them? Is there anybody talking them through it, coaching them through it, answering questions they've got? No, because I didn't offer any other support. It's a lot of expectation on that dog owner to do it all themselves and do it right, looking back.
Yeah.
I don't think I did that very well.
No, and I think this is why I'm very torn with how I feel about the passive space. Again, not because I don't agree with it, because I think everybody should be doing it and could absolutely make it work. I think it's I don't know, maybe it's the lack of knowledge on how to execute something like that really well. And maybe it's because, in our opinion anyway, if you haven't got the foundational pillars in your business, so your business is strong enough to withstand anything, so therefore the online supplements and complements it beautifully, then that's when it works really well. But if you are a business that is a bit of feast and famine, like, do you know what I mean? Like, some months are working really well, other months not so much. And if our mindset is telling us, oh, if I just get a course created, a course recorded, and stick it out there, that's going to solve everything. That's my concern, I think.
There's 2 additional factors I've just thought of as well with that. Do you remember when everyone was doing live Zoom, like they'd almost put their same format of doing classes or one-to-ones into Zoom?
Yep.
And they might have had 6 people that would have attended a class on Zoom. You're there with your dog doing the demo, they practice, right?
Yep.
So that's what most people were doing. I hated that idea. I absolutely, that was like, there's no way I'm doing that. Like, why would I want to just be in my living room with my dog and showing people it's not the same? So in my mind, I was going, I don't like that. I don't think that people are going to get the most out of it because I don't like it, and it's going to show, and it probably would have done if I'd have done it, I'm sure. So
yeah, she's very obvious with things that she doesn't like doing.
Yeah, I am. So therefore, if I do it in a nice environment like a field, and I've got the space and I've got the freedom to be me and actually do that training in the way that I would try and deliver it in the location I would normally do it in, I saw that the similarities were closer. And then actually, had I done that with the Zoom and chatted them through and coached them through and answered any questions and been able to be there live with people effectively, how much more of a better service would that have been for people? But I couldn't get out of my own head. And I couldn't. You're right. Vicky bashing podcast is this. But I couldn't. And I was like, no, I don't like it. I don't think that people will like it either. Are people actually going to be enjoying doing things in their living room? And then I was like, I've got an online course. Where else are they going to be doing it if they're not watching it in their, probably watching it in their living rooms or on their laptops? It's the same thing. Yeah, so that was number one. And then number two, I think I could have made it work with the format I'd got if I'd have delivered it live each week as well. So if I'd have gone on maybe a Facebook group and gone in there live and answered any Q&As or dropped a module every week, a class week every week, if that makes sense, like I would have done if they'd attended a class, that could have worked. And I think that's where we've got to look at that hybrid approach, haven't we? And go, maybe the videos are brilliant, but are the videos on their own enough? Do we need some accountability? Do we need some connection with people and community aspect, and everybody's going through the same thing you are, so that they can bounce ideas off each other? Oh, I'm really struggling with this. Oh, okay, well, I tried this. Maybe it'll work. Oh, great, thanks. That's what people would do in real life, wouldn't they? When they chat at the end of a class or, you know?
Yeah.
But again, it was like completely missed the point with it. And I could have made that without too much extra work from me. And let's face it, I was doing nothing anyway. So I easily could have had the time to do that, but I wasn't thinking of the customer. I was thinking of me, and I was being selfish and going, here you go, I've done this thing, I've put my all into it, buy it.
So where do you think this passive income thing has come from then of recent months?
What we're seeing, you mean?
Yeah. Or
do you think it's the people who are doing it really well out in the marketplace?
Possibly.
Like socks.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of new stuff coming out from socks at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, and let's face it, socks is awesome.
It's great.
The delivery of it is next level, and they really have crafted such a beautiful space in that online arena. But I think that is down to they know their audience so well, and ultimately, a lot of you listening will be their audience. Like you're a trainer, same way like you're listening to us, like you are our audience as well. And when you understand your audience fully, which is like one of these foundational pillars that we're always going on about, it makes everything a bit easier in terms of how you approach any delivery of any service that you're going to do. I think Absolute Dogs probably had a big impact again in the online space because they were targeting pet owners. Like they were all very much predominantly dog owners, weren't they? And then they kind of span off and did professionals and made a killing from all that.
The difference with Absolute Dogs, though, is that they were they were different in love or hate Absolute Dogs. Yeah. I think they were amazing. And their marketing was absolutely awesome. Yeah. Like they just came out of nowhere, it seemed, and they took the whole marketplace.
Business-wise, it was
amazing. Epic. But also, not only did you might look at their videos and go, well, they were self-paced and they were like, just work your way through them, like the training academy and stuff. Like I had that for years. I only recently got rid of that actually when all the shit hit the fan. But they were very present as well. They would do live in-person stuff. They'd got a venue, hadn't they, that they used. They had, I went on like a road show with them, like in Birmingham. They did like, it was in Moseley in Birmingham, and they did like these road shows almost. I'm thinking of like the 90s road shows. And they would appear and they'd do all this stuff. So although you're working through it, they were very with you, and they would come on live and they would answer Q&As in that Facebook group. So you had that like reason to kind of get motivated by them, didn't you? That was the difference with them.
You can't overlook how much work they put into selling those programs.
They did, and they were very cleverly done as well.
Yeah.
The upsells were awesome.
Gotcha. But like you already mentioned, like the road shows, it's like, well, they're going out and they're creating a buzz.
And awareness.
Yeah. They're talking about it a lot. They had a massive audience, like enough to gain traction, and then that obviously helps grow it even bigger. So when we're looking at ourselves as solopreneurs, like standalone business owners doing our dog training thing, it's that question we have to ask ourselves in going, if we really want the passive side to work well for us, then how can we make that our focus so that we ultimately, I'd argue that the first place anybody should start if they're thinking about doing the passive income space is come up with the idea. And again, I feel like I'm blanketing everybody in this as a bit of a general sweeping statement, but I feel like for the majority of us, myself included, as dog trainers, the default position is those courses that you've already alluded to, like let's do something on recall or your loose lead, or do you know, like your basic air quote exercises. But if that doesn't necessarily align with your mission and the reason why your business exists, then A, is it going to work? And B, if the answer is no, how can you create something that would be suitable for that space for your audience? And then you can start to think about that delivery bit that you've been talking about how you hybridize it, like whether you're in person doing it or whether it does become a standalone bit. But you've got to have these bits initially, haven't you, to go, right, here's my idea. Does it work for my target audience? Do I have enough of that target audience? Again, if you think about that 7 to 10% conversion rate, and if you're looking at the number of followers you've got, say, on Instagram, or the number of likes on your page, or the number of people in your Facebook group, that doesn't necessarily equate to that same 7 to 10% because it needs to be an engaged audience. Mm-hmm. So they need to be putting their hand up ultimately and going, yeah, I'm in. So we did it, didn't we? When I think we had 44 people on a list that we'd asked people to sign up to if they were interested to find out more. Mm-hmm. And 4 people bought off the back of that list.
Yeah, which is pretty spot on.
Yeah, it's that 10%. And I would be lying to everybody if I said I didn't tell myself that, there's 44 there. Like, imagine if all of those bought. And I allowed myself to dream. And then the facts came in and reality hit. And I was like, fuck's sake, like, I know this stuff and I still get carried away with going, there's 44 people have said, yes, I'm in, I'm interested, tell me more.
Yeah.
And then when it comes down to the decision-making bit, it's like, oh, shit, there's that reality stick again going whack.
Yeah.
10%. 10%. I'm glad it was 10% though, not 7.
Yes, it was on the higher end of the conversion rate.
But you have to build that audience and they have to be engaged and you have to know exactly what that course, that membership, whatever thing you're looking at creating, how does that support somebody? We've seen it as well where people are going to maybe not sell it as a course, but they'll create an online vault of all amazing stuff like your videos and everything. And again, this may sound like we're bashing a little bit, but it's getting you to consider if you're thinking of it from your point of view. And we've heard this like firsthand from people that they'll go, it makes my life easier because it's in a vault. All I've got to do is sell the thing, sell my one-to-one service and deliver it. Then everything else, like it cuts all my admin out.
Yeah, I even heard this last week. I was talking to somebody and they said this.
Yeah.
And like, again, when we're giving people value, is that value? Mm-hmm. It is in lots of people's eyes. But for that client, like the way we would work, like we've got videos that we send people sometimes, but we've got this bank of videos and they're pre-done, generalised kind of videos. And where we feel it's appropriate, because we do everything through WhatsApp groups, where we would feel that's appropriate, we've covered something that's relevant to that, we'll go, we've got a video for that, actually, we'll stick it in. So it comes at the point where we've just done the training, it's fresh in their minds, it appears in that WhatsApp group, and it's kind of like, it's more relevant.
Yeah.
If you're saying to somebody, oh yeah, so we've got a video in the vault, so you just got to log in, you got to find that video and it's there. Like arguably it's the same thing, but that person has got to then go rooting around that vault. Is it easy to find? Knowing dog trainers, no, because they've probably buried it somewhere really hard to find and called it something strange. But
you speak from experience.
I do speak from experience, yes. Let's squirrel everything away in our website so people can't find it. But I joke, but this is a serious thing. It's not that easy. And are they going to bother? Once you've gone, are they really going to bother? And actually, I would question the fact that even the video we send somebody, are they really going to look at it? It's
I'm pretty certain they don't.
I'm pretty sure they might just take one little squiz at it once it comes through and go like, oh yeah, I'll do that later, and then they don't. Yeah. So, you know, we're trying to make it as easy as we can for them, and they still probably don't look at it, let alone like giving them a login and they've got to go and find, and like probably can't be bothered to do that either.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Like understanding that customer is so important, isn't it? It's like, I think what I feel like we've done well in the training business is we afford people that choice on how they want to receive the information back. So we even offer, like, we have the WhatsApp group, but we go like, do you want to receive? Like, so like, how's best for you? Do you prefer to listen to it? Do you prefer to watch? Do you prefer to read? Giving people those different things. You just, when you're putting the customer at the heart and center of everything, you make your service that much more attractive, and you can absolutely do that in the online space. And I feel like I just want to keep reiterating that we're not bashing an online passive income, because I do think it is something that you should all 100% consider, because it makes business sense.
Well, we're definitely not bashing it because we've just created one.
But yeah, exactly. And like, we love it, but you have to make sure that it is appropriate for your audience. So again, like when you do look at, I mean, even if you look at socks and Absolute Dogs, arguably the similarities in terms of audience when AD diversified into targeting professionals, but their core audience was like pet owners, wasn't it? Like the amount of people I used to see and they would say, oh, I've done that sexier than a squirrel thing. I'm like, oh my God, you've actually done a course. You've done an online thing. But they captivated that audience so well because it came across as fun and easy. And I think my concern is, on a very generalist view, is if we go out and we try and do all the fancy stuff that we are consuming from our CPD, because remember, we love to geek out on all the behaviour things. And I'm very conscious that I do this, certainly since doing the uni degree as well. But I'm talking to people face to face, and I'll caveat it with, by the way, I'm about to say something really sciencey and it doesn't make any sense, but I just want to get it out because it's really interesting. You may not find it interesting, and I'm justifying the whole thing. But you imagine if I was doing that on an online course, the audience is wrong. They don't necessarily want to hear it all. I mean, don't get me wrong, like some do, but it depends on your audience again. So I think we did a very good job at knowing that we like talking about the behaviour theory. Not in like the sense of you chatting about Pavlov and what have you, or conditioning and what have you. But we'll talk about behaviour in a bit more detail than arguably some of the training exercises. But that was clear in all of our messaging, so people would expect it.
And also, we would always relate it back to something that people can understand. Yeah. We might say it and then go, so it's a bit like, and relate it to humans or kids or something like that. Yeah. That's another thing that Absolute Dogs were really good at, though. Whether you... Again, Marmite, they changed the fancy lingo to lingo you could understand. Yes. So they would rename the exercises that we call certain things, and they would make it easy for owners to understand.
Yep.
Layman's terms. And they got bashed for that because they're like, hang on a minute, they've just pinched that and they've called it something else, but they've done it for the right reasons. Mm-hmm. They've not claimed it as their own. They're going, this is really like technical jargon. Like, they're not going to understand that. Let's call it something really catchy and like Sexy the Squirrel. Like, obviously that's the name of the course, but they used that sort of language where it was catchy and it was fun and it was like a bit different. It was very different from the stuffy dog training that pretty much was out there for so long. And again, if you watch some of these online videos that people create, they're so bloody boring. Mm-hmm. And I am going to be straight with that. The amount of videos that I've watched over the years doing CPD, and I've nearly fell asleep watching them because I'm like, this is just not entertaining. No, I know it's educational. I know it's learning, and I know that it's like useful for me, but Jesus Christ, like what is this about? Oh yes, let's just walk around a field. Like what? No.
Yeah, and that's it. And I think you have to be mindful of it is going to be delivered on a screen. So how do you inject your personality on it? And that's ultimately, well, we found this from recording our course, that you feel like you have to don a completely different energy and be like, hi, and it feels so fake and horrible. But if you're your normal self in front of a camera, it's going to come across flat. Whereas if you're your normal self in front of another human being, you're fine. You totally get away with it. And without these skill sets and without this knowledge, again, it's my fear, which is why I'm like 50-50. I'm like, oh, do I want people to do this and do I not? It's like, yes, I do want you to do it. But I really want these factors to be considered of know your audience, be aware of how you need to act in front of the camera, like, because your energy's got to be high. Is it right for your business? Does it actually make business sense? Not the arguably a bit selfish thing of like, it'll make my life easier if I just have a vault where I can send people, or wouldn't it be, that dreamland of like, wouldn't it be nice if I just put a course out and it just brings in loads of money? It's like, you've still got to do a fuck ton of work on that. You've got to sell it. You've got to pitch it all the time. There is not a flashing beacon anywhere unless you have put work into creating that flashing beacon to say, come over here and buy my course.
But even then, you've still got to keep that up.
You've got to keep doing it.
Even these massive like socks, for example, they'll keep doing it. Whenever you open Facebook, there's a socks advert or something popping up. Like, they don't just go off the boil with it. They keep it going, don't they? And we haven't even gotten to PDFs and documents that people send through of handouts and stuff like that. Like, again, way too detailed. Are people really going to read them? And again, this is what people tend to do with an online course, is let's put a downloadable workbook, and we're doing the same with our course, but it's very simple, easy to follow. And the purpose of the ones that we've done are to actually download them and do the work in them. We leave gaps for people to actually do the work, because what's the point in having a course that no one actually does the work for either? So like, let's think about how maybe you could think, let's make it a similar sort of format to that then. Let's do it so that someone actually has to write their progress down, or their struggles down, or their wins down, or something like that. So I think the biggest takeaway from this chat is that we want people to think about it in terms of how that works for their customers, or it doesn't.
Like, just thought, we haven't even talked about, have you done any research on if it would be, it links in, doesn't it? Like, but it's, have you sat down with any of your customers and gone, how would you feel about if we just offered an online? So say this one-to-one class, whatever service you're offering, if that didn't exist and we just had it online, would you want to buy? And digging in deep and having a proper conversation about it, not just would you want to do it? Because arguably if someone's received a one-to-one, they're probably going, no, probably not.
But even giving them the different options, would you like it if it was completely self-paced? Would you like it if I was by your side and there was also a reference of videos that you could go to? Would you like all of it live and no reference of videos? Like, what would you prefer? And just get that market research going. Polls in Facebook groups. Go into your local Facebook groups, which are full of dog owners, and go, what would you like?
There's dog groups everywhere. Like, just do some research and see if it's viable for you, for your business, for what you're trying to achieve. And then if it is, and your idea is awesome, and you're willing to put the work in, and you've got an audience to sell it to, then
amazing.
It's totally viable option, and go play full out on it.
And get creative. Because it's a lot of fun if you do get it right.
It is fun. Everything should be fun. You run your own business. You've got unlimited opportunities in front of you, but it just has to make sense for the business at the stage that you're at. And if everything says yes and it feels right, then do it.